That's right, folks. It's KP's Video News again, y'all. KP's Video News again. So, first off, I'd like to say hello to everybody. And as time is moving on, man, here we are starting the 6th month of the year, early part of June. About 5 months of the year has already gone past. And I've been seeing so many crazy things on people saying so many crazy things. But anyway, first of all, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that red and white button and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get that notification bell. Hit that. And it's just a bunch of people out here today that are highly upsetting to me as a black man. Specifically, people like Tim Scott and it's another black guy that calls himself running for governor in the state of North Carolina, and now I can't think of this crazy woman's name now. They kind of took her show away. Some black chick. She was on the one of them so-called conservative black people. Now all these people are coming out stating that Donald Trump got discriminated against. They're discriminating against him. It's a two-tier system. Now here you got a rich white man. Now let that sink in first of all. Donald Trump is a rich white man. Now, if anything, if it's a two-tier system of justice, he falls on the side that gets all the favoritism. That's where he falls. He didn't get he wasn't held. He didn't get locked up. All the time he was out, just like most black people, when they go to jail, they get locked up and they held in jail before they go to court. Now, with all the charges that he got, this particular case that just passed in New York where he got found guilty, that was one thing because that was like on a misdemeanor charge. So therefore, this is a no bail situation. But those other charges, the federal documents charge in Florida and the other charges that are being brought up against him for the January 6th nonsense, and for him, oh man, all of those charges are federal charges. The charges he got down in Georgia, those charges he should be in jail for right now. So for these people like Tim Scott to come out and say, oh, they're discriminating against Trump. It's a two-tiered system. Joe Biden is trying. Stop lying, man. Stop telling those lies. Stop telling those lies. And any black people out there that are telling those lies, talking about, oh, Trump, he's being mistreated just like us. Stop lying. Stop lying to yourselves and stop lying to the people, because nobody has been given more favoritism than Donald Trump. You, black man, that are sitting there talking about Trump is being discriminated against. He's just one of us. Stop lying. He's not like you. First of all, he's white. So that means he got a whole different system of justice for whites besides the system of justice for black people. So you should already know that. Then he's rich. He's never worked a job. He don't even know the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer. You, on the other hand, have had to do all type of hard work to get whatever it is you accomplished in life. He was born with a silver spoon in his hand, and he's a corrupt crook. So stop telling those lies about how Trump, he got street cred now that he got convicted, and they're trying to hurt him. Stop lying. He got convicted by a jury of his peers. He was guilty of trying to subvert the doggone election, lying, trying to hide the fact that he had sex with that porn star. That was the charge. Not how did Joe Biden get involved in that? Come on, man, stop lying. Stop telling these lies. Anyway, excuse me for my rant, but I'm highly upset, man, with a lot of black people out there right now that are running to Trump's defense, talking about, yeah, he's like us. No, he's not. He never has been. He hates you, as a matter of fact. Don't forget the black guys and the one Hispanic guy that he tried to get murdered. Wanted them to get the death penalty for a charge that they didn't commit. The Central Park Five, four black kids and one Hispanic kid. They all got released from jail. They got a $47 million settlement. So if they were guilty, do you think they would let them out and give them a $47 million settlement? Trump never apologized to those people. He's been filed so many discrimination cases against him, excuse me, in the state of New York for discriminating against minorities, not wanting to rent properties to minorities. And he's lost all of those cases. And each time he files bankruptcy. He's a crook, a criminal, a crook, and a thief and a liar. That's proven in the court, has proven that. So I can say that and not have to worry about it because it's the truth and it's documented. Okay. Now here, on to the story that I was trying to go with in the first place. Racial resentment fueled the January 6th rebellion and opposition to the House probe. And, so Americans are divided over the insurrection on January 6th. And it's widely assumed the split reflects bitter partisan conflicts. But you talk about partisan, like Republicans and Democrats. But a new study co-authored by the UC Berkeley suggests one source of division is stronger than any other: racial resentment. That's right. White people who perceive that black people use race to gain unfair advantages and resent it were far more likely to question the need of the bipartisan U.S. House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack. According to the study co-authored by David Wilson, a dean at the Goldman School of Public Policy. Partisan politics, Republicans against Democrats, are only part of the story when it comes to accountability for the events of January 6th. There's a strong racial component that is not only about prejudice, but more importantly about how African Americans advance, change, and challenge the status quo systems of merit. The distinction between racial prejudice and the contemporary dynamics of racial resentment is crucial in the research of Wilson and co-author Darren Davis, a political science scientist at Notre Dame University. Many white people perceive that people of color are advancing unfairly, and their resentment is an emotional response to perceived injustice, and that they conclude is likely the dominant explanation for why many think the insurrection was justified and needed no investigation. In their analysis, the resentment syncs with support of former President Trump and a message to the core of his Make America Great Again MAGA movement that white people are unfairly losing out to groups that are getting advantages that they haven't earned and don't deserve. In that sense, that whole "Stop the Steal" slogan, using billboards and placards to promote the theory of election fraud, was also a metaphor of what was at stake for the country. Paper to Stop the Steal, Racial Resentment, Effective Partisanship, and Investigating the January 6th Insurrection is published at the latest issue of Analyzer of the American Academy of Political and Social Science. David and Wilson, both professors and specialists of political psychology, are authors of the 2022 book, Racial Resentment in the Political Mind. And in that volume, they argued that modern political divisions that are implicitly or explicitly racial are not solely about white racism. They repeatedly find that racial resentment inflames social and political conflicts that center on fairness, even when the issues have no obvious connection to race. When new research focuses on length tightly on the aftermath of the 2020 presidential election, won by Joe Biden, but still fiercely contested by Trump and his millions of right-wing Republicans who compromised much of the MAGA movement. In a flashpoint of the January 6th, a culmination of U.S. racial history. In the mid-20th century, landmark civil rights law and policy have given more political and economic power to Black people and other people of color, as well as to women. The nation has become more racially and ethnically diverse. A number of factors fuel white resentment, including the election of Barack Obama, the first Black president, and that sense of dislocation and loss has further aggravated by economic instability, the COVID pandemic, and the global geopolitical tensions. And racial resentment is about how race disrupts the status quo for people and leads them to believe that they were morally wrong because of race. African Americans and other minorities have lived with this for the entirety of the United States history, prompting a great deal of resentment toward whites who refuse to acknowledge structural unfairness and adoption of legitimate actions that restore justice. Most whites are thinking about what most whites think about now is, okay, racism is bad, and I don't dislike Blacks, but what do these demands for change mean for me, my family, and my ability to live a good life? They become very protective of what they have: money, power, fame, fortune, what they what they know and how they behave. They don't want to change that truly equalizes opportunity in society. They want to change. Uh, they want change that helps Blacks, but not at any expense to them. Biden won the 2020 election by some 7 million votes, but that masked how tight the contest was on battleground states such as Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and a relative handful of votes in those states could have tipped the Electoral College to Trump. In the aftermath of the election, Wilson, Davis, and Davis Wright, racial considerations were woven throughout the efforts of Trump and his allies to overturn the results. Don't forget that every time you turn the news on now, they're talking about the Black vote, the Black vote, the Black vote. They try to put the blame of Trump losing the election on Black people, just like they tried to put the responsibility when they said, well, Black people helped Obama win the election. Come on, man. If Black people only make up 13% of the count in the country as far as the people go, we only 13%. Black people only 13% of the people. So that means you still got a whole nother 87% of the country that is not Black. So how could 13% of the people in this country elect a president? Just think about that. How could 13% of the people of this country stop a person from being president? Stop Trump from being president. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to flip it, and they're trying to wave those little trinkets and beads in front of Black people, saying, well, you got Black people out there talking about, when Trump was in office, we had money. Yeah, you had money because of COVID. Because of Trump's inability to do his damn job and jump on that COVID situation. If he would have jumped on it right away, and don't forget, Barack Obama, when he was in office, they had an Ebola breakout that happened in Georgia. He jumped on it right away, and he created a branch of government that would be in charge of handling pandemics. What did Trump do when he got there? He got rid of it, only to have to turn around and have to recreate something at the spur of the moment when it was something already there to help. So they, man, it's crazy, man. All that COVID. It was COVID was the reason why you got those little checks. And that was because of the Senate. The Senate is the one that's in charge of the money, not the president. Trump forced the Treasury to put his name on the checks. Otherwise, he wouldn't sign off on the paperwork. So he held the paperwork hostage, said until he put my name on the checks, I'm not going to sign it. Okay, so get your facts straight. Okay, then you talk about the economy was good. How was the economy good when the country was closed down for 2 years, 2.5 years? 2.5 years, man. So what are you looking at? People were out of jobs. The only thing that was open for over a year in a lot of cities was the supermarket, police department, the fire department, a couple of gas stations. All the clothing stores and all the people were buying everything they wanted to get online, as far as clothes and all that kind of stuff. So the economy was not good under Trump. So let's get that out the way. But anyway, back to the story. In the aftermath of the election, racial considerations were woven throughout the efforts by Trump and his allies to overturn the results. Their fraud charges centered on black minority cities. Let me say that again. The Trump fraud charges centered on black minority cities such as Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee, claiming with no evidence that those cities had deprived him of victory. They viciously criticized two black poll workers in Georgia, falsely accusing them of perpetrating a massive fraud. Racial themes were persuasive in the January 6th insurrection. White supremacy groups openly displayed their insignias. Some of the mob yelled racial slurs at the Capitol Police. News photographers showed a Civil War era Confederate flag being carried through the Capitol, and many individual groups, spurred on by Trump and his advisors, descended on the Capitol as a clarion call for the beginning of a race war. From the start, congressional efforts to investigate the insurrection were given bipartisan polarization. Republicans in the U.S. Senate blocked a bipartisan investigation. When the House formed this high-profile investigative panel, only two Republicans, both MAGA critics, agreed to serve. Curiously, the House panel never closely assessed the racial dynamics underlying Stop the Steal and Attack the Capitol, just as the discussion was focused on the welfare of Republican versus Democrat. So the panel did too. They were focused on Republican versus Democrat. Nothing about the racism during that panel that they came up with. While the racial anxieties have been received with little attention, in the explanation of the January 6th insurrection and investigation, racial motivations could rival or even overpower partisan explanations. So I'm telling you, man, guys got to read between the lines. Read between the lines, man, and stop being stupid out here trying to, we had money under Massa. When Massa was president, we had money. Yeah. Massa, this is what he did for you. All the mandatory minimum sentences for crack cocaine, Barack Obama tried to balance those sentences out. It was like crack was up here, you got so much time. If you had powder cocaine, you got probation. Barack Obama balanced those sentences out, got rid of those mandatory minimum sentences. What happened under Trump? Bill Barr put those mandatory minimum sentences back into the federal system. Back. And Bill Barr, the attorney general for Donald Trump, is the person back in 1992 that was the attorney general for George Bush the first, and he was the one that was instrumental in getting going to the Senate and getting approval to create for-profit federal prisons. So the for-profit prisons, those are like private penitentiaries. Bill Barr was the one that came up with that and created that. So Barack Obama was closing down those federal for-profit prisons while he was in office. Bill Barr, under Trump, reopened those for-profit prisons that consist of majority of black people. So wake up. This thing is deeper than you think. And don't be stupid, people. KP's Video News.